Good afternoon, museum visitors. Good afternoon, Chris. Fantastic. Welcome to the North Carolina Museum of Natural Sciences, to our live video chat with a paleontologist. First off, welcome to the museum. The North Carolina Museum of Natural Sciences is actually the largest natural history museum in the southeastern United States. 7 floors of museum that has just about anything you could want to learn about from the natural world. We have more than 4 million specimens for science in our collection here in the museum, and there's a lot of cool stuff that you can roam our halls and look at, from rocks and gems to whale skeletons. Particularly, though, one of our best attractions, if you will, is up on the 3rd floor of this building. It's our paleontology research lab. And up there you can watch paleontologists, managers, curators, preparators working on dinosaur fossils, pulling out the fossils from the rock, and doing lots of interesting research to help us learn more about what the world was like millions and millions of years ago, and in particular, what sort of amazing animals and creatures were walking on planet Earth. Lots of cool stuff used to live back then, stuff that we don't necessarily get to see these days. Who has a favorite dinosaur? Hand up. Tell me your favorite dinosaur. You know? Tell me. He likes T-Rex. What about over here? She likes the T-Rex as well. Okay, raise your hand if T-Rex is your favorite. Okay, yeah, that looks like almost everybody who likes dinosaurs. Well, with us live is a paleontologist. From our paleontology research lab here at the museum, we have Lisa Herzog. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Lisa. I'm going to try again.
Hi, everybody back in North Carolina. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you great now.
Awesome.
Fantastic. Lisa, thanks for tuning in for us.
Hey, no problem.
So Lisa, you're a paleontologist. Tell us where you're at right now and sort of what you're up to.
Okay, right now I am standing at the top of a hill in Utah. We're about 5 to 10 miles south of Green River, Utah. It's actually not that far away from Moab and Arches National Monument, where we're at. And we've got a crew here of 5 people that are excavating a mass death site from the early Cretaceous time period. And you can see behind me the kind of the tarps of the quarry. We've got 4 people down there just excavating bones. And most of what we're finding, about 99.9% of the bones out of this quarry, are from a dinosaur called Falcarius utahensis.
Falcarius utahensis. That's a good name for it.
Yeah.
Found in Utah. Oh, so what does this material look like? What did Falcarius utahensis look like, you think?
Falcarius is a small theropod dinosaur from the clade of therizinosaurs, which are the sickle claw dinosaurs. Some people might know them as they're kind of like plant eaters with a pot belly a lot of times. And this particular animal represents a time period where Falcarius or therizinosaurs were transitioning from a meat-eating diet to a plant-eating diet. And so we can see in the anatomy of their bones that they had kind of like habits of both plant-eating and meat-eating dinosaurs. It would have been about 13 to 15 feet long from tip to tail, and also probably would have stood about 4 feet high at their hip. They had kind of a posture that's similar to a Tyrannosaurus rex.
So this was like a really mini T-Rex kind of looking animal.
Kind of. Not the same kind of sharp teeth as T-Rex, but nice sickle-shaped claws. We're finding a lot of claws in the quarry, which are really cool.
Lots of how big were so if it was about 15 feet long from nose to the tip of the tail and 4 feet tall, how big are the claws, these sickle curved claws on the Falcarius?
The claws on this therizinosaur, the biggest ones are probably around 3 to 4 inches long. So they're not huge, but pretty big for the size of the dinosaur that it was.
Yeah, they sound big enough.
Yeah.
So how do you know when you're finding? You say you're finding a lot of these fossils, which is awesome. This must be a good spot for it. But how do you know that this particular dinosaur was sort of in a transition between a meat-eating and a plant-eating? What clues tell you that?
The biggest clue is in the shape of their teeth. You can tell a lot by an animal's teeth what they were eating, and their teeth show characteristics of both meat eating and plant eating. And this particular quarry that we're digging in is a mass death site. Lindsay Zano, the head of the lab, did her PhD dissertation on this animal, and so far we've found 300 individuals, representations of 300 individuals out of this quarry, and we're still pulling lots and lots more out of here. So a lot of these animals died right in this one spot, which is a little bit of a mystery, and it's one of the reasons why we're excavating more here, so we can find out more about their habitat, maybe why so many of them died in one place.
Wow, that's incredible. So you found more than 300 individuals in this one location. We don't know why there are so many, hundreds of this one particular dinosaur in this one spot.
Right. It looks like the climate may have been changing at the time and drying out. It may have been possibly a drought environment, and this was a natural spring. And so perhaps they were congregating to all, animals need water to survive. And, there's hypotheses that maybe there was disease that killed them, or other, maybe they weren't getting enough food and they starved or something like that. But we have representations of juveniles, adults, subadults, and so it was definitely a community that was living in this area.
And so how do you and your team find the actual fossils? How do you know what you're looking for? What makes a fossil different than all of the other brown colored rock that we see behind you?
The rocks in this quarry are pretty similar, or the bones are similar to the rock in color, but fossil bones and all bones have structure to them. When our bodies make our bones, and animals, when their bones are formed, they're all, they have a structure to them that you can see in cross-section. You can see striations, you can see shape, whereas rock doesn't really have any organized shape to it. It's just amorphous and crystalline.
So you just look for differences in the shape of the rock versus what you think might be bone, and then just a close look at it would tell you exactly what you've got.
Yeah, and the bone is it can be a slightly different color, but you look for the shape and you look for the texture, you look for the internal structure of the bone. And it's really, once you're in the quarry, it's kind of hard to describe, but once you're in the quarry, it's not that hard to figure out what's bone and what's not after you've looked at it so many times. There's so much bone in the quarry.
Cool stuff, cool stuff. So for my audience that's here in the Daily Planet Theater, first, second, and third floors, I want to give you the chance to ask your questions too about what it's like to be out in a dinosaur quarry, what it's like to dig up dinosaurs, to be a paleontologist. So if you have questions, you can raise your hand. If you're down here with me on the first floor, I can bring you up on stage where you can talk directly to Lisa. You can use the microphone. If you're on the second or the third floors, you can ask your questions too. I want you to, for sure. Just yell your questions down at me over the balcony, or you can come down here to the first floor. That way we can use the microphone, because this is the only way that Lisa can hear us, is to use the microphone. And she'll be able to see you on camera if you're up here with me on the stage. So if you have questions, let me see your hands. Okay, I've got one right here. Yeah, come on up. So come and join me. Okay, she's right there on that screen. So
Hello.
Tell us your name.
Hello, my name is Natasha.
Hello, Natasha.
And what do you want to say?
What's it like to be a paleontologist day after day and figure out what bones the dinosaur is?
Being a paleontologist has kind of two parts to it. What we're doing right now is field work, which usually we end up doing maybe 1 or 2 months out of the year. And while we're out here collecting, we camp the entire time we're out here. The conditions can be really harsh. We don't have any running water because the location we're at is really remote. It's been over 100 degrees every day we've been here. It's really hot, and so it can be pretty tiring. The quarry that we're at has been known for a couple of decades now. And so when we came here, we know exactly where we're going, but a lot of being a paleontologist is trying to discover new things. And so a lot of what we do is walk around and prospect looking for new bone that's coming out in different areas. If you look behind me, you can see all the terrain. I'll walk around in a little circle here. And so we go to where the rock's exposed or the age we're looking for, and then you can imagine just hiking around for miles and miles and miles and miles trying to find all this stuff. And I think this is one of the exciting parts of being a paleontologist, is coming out in the field and getting away from technology and getting away from things, and finding new discoveries. But then a lot of the hard work happens after we have to collect all this stuff and bring it back to the lab, and then we have special technicians, preparators. I'm trained in preparation to remove all the rock from the bone, and then the paleontologist work starts once the bone is completely uncovered from rock. You can look at the characters and see what differences there might be in the bone from other things that are already known. And it's very time-consuming and tedious work as far as being a paleontologist in that sense, because you have to know a lot of anatomy and you have to know coding, and there's a lot of statistical analysis involved as far as trying to categorize things so that we can get the best estimate of what was happening. And there's a lot of different parts to paleontology. There's just straight up defining new specimens you found, or doing elemental analysis on the bones to see what they might have been eating, or I do some work with pathology to try to figure out what kind of diseases dinosaurs or any fossil might have had by seeing anomalies in their bone. So it's, on the one hand, paleontology is kind of a small field because there's not a lot of paleontology workers compared to other disciplines. On the other hand, there's a lot of different things you can do with paleontology to make it relevant to modern times and today and how it affects our world today. Does that answer your question?
That's incredible. You have to know.
It's complicated.
It's complicated. You have to know so many different things. So you were asking, are you interested in paleontology?
I love dinosaurs so much.
She really, really likes dinosaurs. So are you thinking you'd like this particular job?
Yes, obviously yes.
Yeah, that's kind of a dumb question on my part. Well, what interests you about dinosaurs then? So what makes you think that like paleontology is where it's at?
No, it's just that when I was, I think when I was young, I just had a real fascination in dinosaurs, because in one bone you can just tell what happened. If it had a crack or like a bite mark, it could be in a fight or it got like injured.
And that's sort of the work you were doing as well,
Go
right?
ahead.
So that's some of the work that you said you were doing too, Lisa, right? With looking at bones to try to figure out what sort of diseases dinosaurs had.
Right. Yeah, if they had a broken bone or if it was some kind of cancer or something like that. And it's amazing what you can tell just from the physical bones that are from millions and millions of years ago. And I think that the mystery of it is what draws a lot of people into paleontology, and just uncovering things for the first time in millions of years and making new discoveries and all that kind of stuff. And if you want to go into paleontology, there's a lot of ways to get involved. As when you're younger, you can volunteer at museums. You can, try to get experience that way. Or I don't know if you're from the Raleigh area. You certainly don't sound like it, but we have a junior curator program here for young people to kind of get involved with stuff like that. To see how they like it and learn, soon start learning while you're young.
So did you come all the way to the museum today from England to talk to Lisa?
Yeah, because I'm on holiday.
Yeah, actually, she said yes. She's on holiday, so yes.
Oh, awesome.
She's here all the way from England
Great
to
place
talk to a real
go.
paleontologist.
Oh,
Wow.
very cool. Very cool.
That's really cool that we did this today and you're in town. Awesome stuff. Well, thank you very much. Well, I'm going to see if I saw other hands go up when we had other questions earlier. So if you've got more questions, yeah, come on up. Come and join me. I'll come down here. So tell us your name.
Crosland.
And what do you want to ask Lisa about paleontology and dinosaurs?
How do you get to place to place?
Yeah, how do you
How do
move
we
around
get
out
from
there?
That's a good question. So Utah is pretty far away from North Carolina. And, you know, you could fly here in 3 hours or so, but we have a lot of gear we have to bring with us. We have picks and rock hammers and supplies for collecting and all our campsite gear for cooking dinners and everything like that. And so we drive, and it takes 2 days to drive here, 2 full days. It's like a 30-hour drive. But once we get here, we walk everywhere we go pretty much. So luckily, our campsite's not too far from the quarry, and so we camp downhill. I'm up at the top of the hill, and every morning we figure out what supplies we need, and we have to haul all our stuff up to the quarry with us. So we have to make sure we're drinking lots of water and everything we have to carry on our backs. And so as far as doing the prospecting and looking for new things, it's all hiking and walking around, and sometimes we drive to different areas, but it's a lot of hiking and walking. And
lots
out here,
lots of walking.
yeah.
I think, so Lindsay Zano, the head of our paleontology lab, she's tweeting right now from @Expedition Live, so you can follow
Yeah.
her and see what's going on with these dino digs. But I think I saw the teams have split up. I know she said that her team had 350 pounds of gear.
Yes.
That, like 5 of them had to carry into their quarry where they're working.
Yeah, their quarry, they could only get 3 miles close. So they had to park and set up base camp, and their hike is 3 miles in to where they're working. So we all came out here together as 11 people, I think, and then we split kind of in half. We've got 5 in our camp now. They have 6. And they're so directly behind me, 120 miles, that's where they're at. They're 120 miles away from us, and they're excavating something completely different. They're trying to uncover a nesting site. Last year they found eggshell, and so they're doing something really cool too. I'm kind of jealous, but not at the same time, because then, you know, we don't have to hike 3 miles to get to where we're going.
Yeah, that sounds like a rough job. So
Yeah.
are there roads? Because maybe this is kind of what you're thinking. Like, it looks like you're just in the middle of the desert. So
We kind of are.
Yeah.
So we go off road. It's kind of off road, but there's like 2-track roads, kind of like dirt trails that are kind of maintained and kind of not maintained. And so to get into our sites and to get where we want to go prospecting, we have to have a 4-wheel drive vehicle with a lot of ground clearance, so we can get through on the roads that sometimes aren't maintained very well. And it can be a real bumpy ride, and you're bumping around in the truck and stuff like that. I personally find it's kind of fun off-roading.
That makes for a good paleontologist, I think. Seems
Yeah.
like it'd have to be part of the job description.
It is, yeah. It's another one of those things you can add to the list of things you need to know how to do. You need to know, almost every year somebody gets a flat tire. You got to know how to change a tire. You got to know how to pull yourself out of mud, because it's super dry here now. But one rainstorm that lasts 10 minutes, you can get stuck in mud. Everything gets wet really quick, and the mud is super slippery. So the conditions change fast if it rains.
So I'm curious about you. Are you interested in being a paleontologist as well?
I don't know.
I mean, I think you've got some time to figure it out, but It's like an interesting career option, driving four-wheel drive vehicles out in the desert, looking for dinosaur bones? Maybe. Great answer. No, so did she answer your question? Is that what you're looking for? Awesome. Thank you very much. Folks, so second floor, third floor too. If you have questions, just come up to the balcony and yell at me, and then I can use the microphone to talk to Lisa. So I'm just looking. All you got to do is come right up to the front or yell at me with your questions right now. Okay. First floor. I know there were more hands that went up. So if you got a question, come on up right here. And then you're next. So tell us your name too.
Benton.
Benton, what do you want to talk to Lisa about?
How many dinosaurs bones did you find? Like how many dinosaurs did you find?
On this particular trip or just in general?
For like her whole career or like just in the last week?
Like in her whole career.
For as long as you've been a paleontologist.
Oh, that's hard to count how many things I've found. I haven't done a ton of field work in my career, but one thing I found that was really cool was over in the near where the other team is working right now. I found almost a complete skeleton of an orodromine dinosaur that's probably going to be a new species. But if you go up to the third floor and look in the lab, in our lab right now, it's the one that's right in the window, and it has a Transformer Decepticon icon on it.
And you think that one's going to be a new species?
Yeah, they're working on it right now. Another team is working on figuring that specimen out, but it needs a lot of preparation work. It has a lot of rock covering it. The field jacket it is in is pretty big, but the dinosaur itself would have been probably the same size as Falcarius, actually. I did a lot of work collecting fish, too. So, you know, being a paleontologist isn't all about dinosaurs. I worked in a fossil lake quarry for many years and collected hundreds and hundreds of fish, which aren't nearly as exciting.
I mean, prehistoric fish, that's got to be, somebody's interested in prehistoric fish, right?
Well, that's true, but there's like 5 different fish that came out of that quarry, and they're all the same.
All the same.
It's cool when you find something different and new, you know?
Right, yeah, right. Something exciting. It's not a fish that's just millions of years old. It's been trapped in rocks all this time.
Yeah.
Did you have another question? You did not. Well, awesome. Thanks for coming today. And I saw your hand up too. Come on up. So what do you want to talk about? Well, tell us your name.
Wood.
And what's your question?
How do you get the dinosaurs' bones?
How do you get the dinosaur bones?
Well, that's what we're working on right now. You can see the quarry behind me. Let me see if I can get a little closer to it. We got 4 people sitting down there using small hand tools to pick through the rock and uncover some of the bone. And then once we find bone,
Can you point your camera a little further down? There it is.
How's that? Oh, there it is. Okay. And we put plaster and burlap on top of them and try to make a little egg casing for them almost. They're like little white blobs when we pull them out. And that's to protect the bones so that we can bring them back to the museum. And then most of the preparation actually gets done at the museum because they're pretty fragile once you uncover them, and we don't want them to break. And the specimens we're pulling out of here are pretty small. And, you know, when you're collecting fossils, you can find anything from like a tiny tooth that's maybe the size of a grain of sand to a giant sauropod that is just immense. We collected a tailbone from a sauropod dinosaur not too long ago that weighed 2,000 pounds. And, you know, that required a lot of, we had to winch it into the back of the truck and get it back to the museum somehow. And we don't really have power tools. So we have to think our way through it by using physics and math to move things around using fulcrums and straps and stuff like that.
That sounds hard, but not too, like, you guys get good at it, right? Like
Yeah,
you
you
know
get
what
good at it.
works. You learn how to get these giant bones out of the ground.
Yeah, it's another part of paleontology that you can add. You need to know biology, chemistry, physics, how to drive off-road, how to build stuff. It's a really complicated field to be in, actually.
Awesome stuff. Thank you very much. You're next. Come on up. You can be after her, yes. Yeah, come on up. You can come up here with me. And let's see, your name tag says that your name is Eve. Eve, are you in summer camp here at the museum? It's Evie, I'm sorry. Evie.
It just says Eve.
So, Evie, what did you want to talk to Lisa about?
Wait, what?
Did you have a
Hi,
question?
Evie.
You did? What was your question?
Why can't you go up on stage?
How do you get to come up? You're on the stage.
No, why is there a rope behind?
Oh, so she didn't want to ask about dinosaurs. She wanted to ask about being on the stage. So,
Oh, I see.
so we're just doing dinosaur questions right now, but I'll answer your question after, okay? Okay, did you have a dinosaur question? Thank you, Evie. Are dinosaurs alive?
Yes, they are.
Yes, they are.
Dinosaurs. Birds are dinosaurs. Dinosaurs evolved into birds.
Wait, you mean
They're still
chickens?
alive today. Chickens are dinosaurs.
Chickens are wait, who had chicken for dinner last night? Or who had chicken for lunch in the Daily Planet Cafe? Yeah, like covered in Cheerwine barbecue sauce. You ate a dinosaur
Yep.
for dinner. You ate a dinosaur for dinner. Did you have a question? Okay, tell us your name, because I might get it wrong like I did hers.
Where do you get the dinosaurs?
We get them. Well, right now we're here. I'm in Utah right here. This
That's
is where
what we're
getting
doing.
them from. Dinosaurs have actually been found on every continent on Earth. So you can find them all over the place. You just have to go to the bedrocks that are the right age to find what you're looking for. We work in the Cretaceous because we're trying to fill in some gaps where there haven't been dinosaurs, and we're looking for transitional dinosaurs that'll help us understand the evolution a little bit better.
So when you say Cretaceous and that there's gaps in what we know about dinosaurs from this time period, what's that mean? So how far back is the Cretaceous? Like what time period? Is this like T-Rex time or is this different?
Right now we're older than that. We're at the beginning of the Cretaceous, and it's about 125 million years old where we're at. The Cretaceous goes all the way up until the dinosaurs went extinct to about 65 million years ago. Okay. But we're much, much older than that right now.
So really, really old rocks. And how do you know where the Cretaceous is when you're looking at a rock face or when you go down in the quarry? How do you know you're stepping into the Cretaceous to find the right dinosaurs that you want to study?
That goes back to geology, and a lot of the rocks around here, the sediments, have been age dated using chemical analysis and various types of equipment that'll tell you how old things are. So there's potassium argon, uranium dating. There's a lot of different methods that'll go that far back to figure out how old things are.
All right, cool. So that helps you know when the dinosaurs lived, because we know how old the rocks where you find them are.
Right.
You do it that way. Okay, we got another question. Oh, go ahead.
Okay,
go ahead,
great.
Lisa.
Oh, I was going to say our other team that's 120 miles behind me, they're still in the Cretaceous, but they're more like 100 million years where they're at. They're a little bit younger than where we are now. But it's still the Cretaceous. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so tell us your name.
Owen,
And Owen, what is your question?
how many have you found this month?
This month, wow. You know, this is my third trip this summer. So
Oh, wow.
about 2 weeks before I was here, we were in Montana, and I found some stuff there. We found a Triceratops skull, which is super cool. And we worked on uncovering that. It's 6 feet long, so it's about twice as tall as you, maybe. I don't know. You look kind of, how tall are you, Chris?
I
Probably
am.
about as,
So that Triceratops skull then is as long as I am tall.
Yep. Yep. We found a complete Triceratops skull there and some other bones that were in the area. And then here I am again out in Utah now. And so far on our Quarry Log, we have 25 specimens that we've collected so far.
So just in the last few days, you've recorded 25 dinosaurs. And then you got a handful more from Montana?
Yeah, and 25 is individual bones. It's not complete skeletons or anything. Even though this is a mass death site, all the bones are jumbled up. So it's not like a whole dinosaur skeleton just laying in the ground on top of each other. They're all jumbled up. And so we've collected 25 individual elements. So some leg bones, we found some toe bones, we've got some claws. Earlier today, somebody found a tooth. And there's still stuff that we haven't pulled out yet that we've uncovered, but we're trying to work around it so they don't break. So
yeah,
I'm gonna go
be careful, right?
I'll say over 100 so far this month.
Over 100 different pieces of dinosaurs, at least.
Yeah, different pieces of dinosaurs. Yeah.
Fantastic question. Thank you very much. Come on up. Come and join me. Lisa, how much do you have time for a couple more, maybe?
Yeah, I got time for a couple more.
Fantastic.
It's pretty hot out here, but
yeah,
right.
I know it's hot out there. I don't want to keep you in the sun for too much longer. So tell us your name.
Caleb.
Caleb,
Hi, Caleb.
What's your question?
How many dinosaurs did you find in 2016?
Oh, man. Probably about the same as this year. Last year, we went to a different area and did prospecting, and we worked in New Mexico last year. Actually, went there earlier this year, too, and found about the same amount of stuff. Maybe, 100 different elements, possible new species that we need to study. It's hard to get all this work done while we're in the field all the time, and it takes a long time to actually name a new dinosaur. But we're working on it. We've found a lot of good stuff in the past 2 years for sure.
Great question. Thank you very much. Yeah, so if you're pulling out, in a year or so, 100, 125, 150 different elements, you package them all up, you bring them back here to the museum. How long would it take to go through all of that material? Like, you must have years worth of stuff.
Yeah, we have a lot of backlog right now, and so we prioritize the specimens. Most important things get prepared first. We have one full-time preparator that works in the lab, Aaron Gitterman. He's probably up there right now. But he manages all the volunteers that work in our lab too. So a lot of the work gets done by volunteers that come in and help us prepare the specimens so that we can do the research on them. And it does take a really long time to get through all that stuff.
So I've got one more question from the audience. Tell us your name.
Owen.
And your question.
How many dinosaurs are there?
How many total dinosaurs are there? There's
how
lot.
How many ever? Oh gosh.
How many have been named? I think over 1,000. Hey David, I bet you know this answer. How many dinosaurs are there?
So over 1,000 have been named, but I think around 500 to 700 are considered valid.
Okay, over 1,000 have been named, but only 500 to 700 are considered valid, meaning scientists agree with the description.
So there you go. So we know about more than 1,000, but up to 700 of them are like really solid dinosaurs.
Yeah, and that doesn't include modern birds.
Of which there are like more than 10,000 species of modern birds. So if we add all the birds in, there's thousands of dinosaurs. Great question, Owen. Thank you very much. Fantastic work. So, Lisa, what will the rest of your time there in Utah look like?
Hot and
Just chipping
sunny.
away? Hot and sunny and chipping away.
Chipping away. We'll just be coming to this quarry every day. We get up at about 7, try to get to the quarry by 8, or earlier. The earlier the better, because it gets hot fast. We put up our shade tarps and we just sit in the quarry till lunchtime. Take a nice break in the shade for a while, and then work until 5 or 6, maybe later if we're in the mood. And that's pretty much what we do every day. Go to town every few days for more water and more ice, and just get up the next day and do it again.
Raise your hand if paleontology sounds even more awesome now. Yeah, that's what I thought. 3 people. And two of them work here, Lisa. So, and one of them was Kai.
Hi, Kai.
He says hi.
We miss you.
They miss you. He misses you too.
Aw.
Everybody, wave bye. Say bye, Lisa.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for all the great questions.
Lisa, thanks for hooking up with us.
Go up to the lab and check out our specimens that are on display in the lab up there.
And everybody, follow along with our dinosaur diggers in Utah. You can follow at Expedition Live, which is Lindsay Zano, the head of our paleontology research lab. You can also follow the hashtag UT Dino Dig 17. Stands for Utah Dino Dig 2017. UT Dino Dig 17. And Lisa, you tweet with those hashtags too, right? How can people follow you?
When I tweet, I use those hashtags, so my stuff will come up on that. And also.
Awesome. There's also a field blog. I don't know if they're updating it this time, but you can check out all the past. Try to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, internet in the middle of the desert, you know. It's hard to find, I think. But I'm glad that we got good signal for you today. So So Lisa, we'll be chatting with you same time next week, right?
Okay, yeah, great. See you then.
Fantastic. Head back into the shade.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Bye.
And to all of you, thanks for hanging out with our live video chat with our paleontology research lab. If you're interested, we'll be back here again next Friday. We'll see what they've learned in a week's more worth of digging. And make sure you go and check out the 3rd floor paleontology research lab. They're up there working on cool stuff you can see right now. Bye, everybody. Have a great Friday.